What's going on, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Very quick prediction video for this fight this weekend. Guillermo Rigondeaux against Riel Casimero. This fight was probably the hardest for me. I've been thinking all week about how I'm going to go with this. Probably the most difficult fight to predict out of the 3 cards that we have. I will be doing live commentary, by the way. Hopefully these fights don't overlap each other, because you have this fight here on Showtime. It's going to be at 10 p.m. Eastern. You also got an ESPN and a DAZN card. So I will be here Saturday. Just know I'll be here. As far as what fight I'm going to be doing, it really depends on what fight is happening and what's on at the time. All right. So hopefully I'll be able to cover this entire fight. All right, but we'll see. We'll deal with that tomorrow night. Now, Guillermo Rigondeaux, the older fighter, he's not in his prime anymore. Let's get that out of the way. He is not in his prime. He's still a very good fighter. He's still an excellent fighter. All right, but he is not in his prime. Not quite sure which age he is, but we're saying we're just gonna stick with he's around 40. All right. Hasn't been the most active fighter neither since his loss in Vasyl Lomachenko. All right, that's his only loss. He had to go up in weight. A very small guy, even at 122, had to go up in weight to fight Vasyl Lomachenko at 126. Bad idea. I never liked the idea of that fight, and we saw why in the fight. Right, just too small. And Vasyl Lomachenko is very, very skilled. So I don't want to take anything away from him, but just a bad matchup overall. But since then, he hasn't been that active. And I saw the Solis fight. I saw the Seha fight. He's just not the same. He had a split decision win against Solis, and I think these fights are similar now as far as it being competitive, more competitive than what they need to be, because Guillermo Rigondeaux has to be pressured. He has to be bullied, and he's more willing to sit in the pocket now. He doesn't move as much as he used to. So this is why a lot of his fights are probably a lot more competitive now, plus the fact that he's older. And Casimero is probably the most explosive fighter that he's faced since Nonito Donaire. We know that Lomachenko is explosive himself, but that was more of a technical fight. All right, not a lot of action. Those two was just trying to outthink each other. Casimero, on the other hand, very quick, extremely powerful, right? And one-punch knockout power. And this is a very dangerous fight, all right? And a very good boxer at that. Now, if this was a fight between two guys in their prime, clear win for Guillermo Rigondeaux, clearly. But one advantage I will say that Guillermo Rigondeaux has outside of his experience, his defense, it's the fact that he is coming down to 118 in the division that he probably belongs to. Because, again, at 122, he was still a small guy at 122. Call a spade a spade. It's like Donaire. He's down at 118. He's a champion. And he's been destroying guys at 118 since he's been there. All right? He went up 122, took losses. 126, took losses, came back down. Now he's at 118. All right? He's only lost to Inoue. Pound for pound, great Inoue. So when it comes to Guillermo Rigondeaux, I think in order for him to win this fight, he's going to have to let his hands go a little bit more than what we've been seeing. I know he wants to be patient and draw and make his opponents come to him. All right. I know he wants to set traps, all right, and counter. He relies heavily on his defense, his timing, his accuracy. But in order to win this fight here, he's going to have to let his hands go. His performance against Solis, where he's doing a lot of movement, he's barely throwing shots. He is going to have to change it up, all right? Even if it goes the distance, he's not going to get the win over Casimero, because his activity and it's not enough. I know he's going to try to neutralize Casimero, but Casimiro's aggression, his explosiveness, his power, it still might give him the edge over Guillermo Rigondeaux, off the strength that Guillermo Rigondeaux just hasn't really shown signs of him, being willing to let his hands go. Casimero, on the other hand, though, outside of just being the aggressor, throwing more punches, being more active, he has that power. He can hurt Guillermo Rigondeaux. He can hurt him for sure. All right. One key thing when I think about this fight, and we seen a righty fighting, an orthodox fighter fighting a southpaw. This fight kind of reminds me, I did watch some of the Zolani Tete fight, and I saw that, Tete is a southpaw, much taller than Casimero. If you look at the Duke Mika fight, right, and you look at the Tete fight, we saw two completely different versions of Casimero. Casimero in the Mika fight was being the aggressor. He was being a bully. He was coming in, getting hit with everything. No regards for defense at all. Didn't respect Mika at all. We just kept coming forward and just getting hit with everything. But he was taking hits in order to land his. In the Tete fight, he was more patient. He was using his lateral movement, all right? He was using his timing. He was setting traps. And there was a point where being a southpaw, Tete, defensively, all right? He likes to slip shot, but he likes to bend over to the left. He likes to lean over to the left pretty low and pivot and step around his opponent, which we see a lot of people do. And Casimero threw the short right hand low while Tete was ducking to the side, and Tete pretty much ran right into that punch. Got knocked out, all right? Not right there, but eventually was stopped, right? Never recovered from that shot, and Casimero finished him off. Kind of reminds me of Jamel Charlo against Errolson Lubin. We saw the same thing there. Also reminds me of recently with Canelo Alvarez and Billy Joe Saunders in that fight, where Billy Joe Saunders kind of like leaned over to the left, all right, and Canelo hit him with that short right hand and pretty much broke his face, all right, and that caused the stoppage of that fight. So anyway, that's the money shot right there, because Guillermo Rigondeaux, as defensive as he is, that is one of the ways he loves to stay out of the way of those right hands, all right? And that's what Tete was doing. But Tete caught one. So Guillermo Rigondeaux has to be very careful, because if he gets hit with that same shot, he is not the most durable guy. He's been knocked down. He's been hurt, all right? That's going to be the money shot to put him away if he does get knocked out, I believe, all right? But I do think that Guillermo Rigondeaux has a good chance of neutralizing Casimero and slowing him down. It's just, will it be enough? I personally don't think so. As much as I want Guillermo Rigondeaux to win, I'm a longtime fan of him and everything. I want him to win. I'm rooting for him. I would love to see him win. I just think Casimero brings a little bit more. If we see a knockout, even though Guillermo Rigondeaux does have power and he's knocked out guys at bigger divisions, I understand that. But if we're going to see a knockout, I'm expecting it more from Casimero. I don't think we're going to get the Duke Mika Casimero. I think we're going to be getting the more patient Casimero, who's going to show his explosiveness as spurts, but we're not going to get a kind of like walk him down, just be careless about his defense, Casimero. I think this is going to be a smart Casimero, and I think he's going to be outworking Guillermo Rigondeaux. And I think either or, whether it's by stoppage, whether it's by decision, I think he's going to do enough to win the fight. All right, I got Casimero winning just because of his youth and his activity. All right, so that's my prediction. Make sure, and I think I'm not sure whether it's going to be on the cards or by knockout. I can see him winning either way. I really can see him either way, but I have Casimero winning this one, man. I love Rigo, but I just don't think he's gonna win. I don't know how, but I got Casimero. Anyway, that's my prediction. Make sure you tune in here to the channel on Saturday. I will do live I'll be doing live commentary on all of the cards, or as many of them as I could. All right. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.